Hey everyone, and welcome to Battle for Azeroth Season 2. This is my gearing guide. Season 2, of course, brings changes to just about every aspect of gearing, so today what we're going to be doing is covering what is new, what the gear sources are, and what all of this means for your main, and finally how to rapidly gear up some alts, plus tips on making Azerite farming as small of a fraction of the gameplay as possibly can be. Really, it's all about playing smart both in WoW and outside of WoW, and that's where today's sponsor Skillshare comes in. Skillshare is an online learning community with over 25,000 courses across many different fields. You get complete access to the whole library with Skillshare Premium for $9.99 a month. But even better, the first 500 people who follow my link will get 2 whole months of premium for free. Now, I've shared a bunch of courses that I've enjoyed recently, and I especially recommend checking out the latest episode of Kurskazat's course. It's these guys from YouTube. They're one of the best channels on YouTube with some of the best animated content on the platform. And with their Skillshare course, you can learn how they make the whole thing happen. Now, I've been putting my spare time into actually learning these concepts and methods from their course, what they're teaching, and the more I learn, the more I appreciate the incredible work that they do on their channel. And that's just another example of great people who have came to Skillshare and the brilliant courses and what you can learn on the platform. So hit up that link. It's free after all, and it is the best way to get your new year started off right. Okay, let's cover what's new, because quite a lot has changed and we're just going to rocket through it, and we're going to start off with Titan Forging. So, do your rosaries, do your praying, make your offerings to RNGesus, because the Titan Forging cap has been increased to 425 for this season. Of course, Azerite does not Titan Forge, and weapons can only Warforge, which is a maximum of plus 10 item levels, meaning that only mythic raid weapons can hit that item level cap. So that's what's up there. Next, world quests and assaults. Blizzard have updated the world content rewards, so emissaries and assaults will now give you gear up to item level 385, which is an increase over the current 370, and comparatively is a bit less powerful than dazar'alor, than say the 370s were to Uldir, but that kind of does make a lot of sense with the overall value of gear in the game. Finally, Blizzard have changed emissary and assault wrapper quests to reward you gear based on your current spec or loot spec instead of just randomly for your class, which is great. Next, Warfronts. So Warfronts are also changing. Darkshore rewards, including the world boss and the once per cycle quest, now drop at item level 400, and the difficulty of Darkshore has increased by about 15%, with the minimum item level requirement for Darkshore queuing going up from 320 to 335. Stromguard and Arathi, they are the same, and overall they're going to be good for transmog, they're going to be good for fresh alts, but they're not going to be relevant for mains. Next, Titan Residuum. One of the big new systems is V8.1, and it has been updated for Season 2, with the costs of item level 400 and 415 Azerite being revealed. So, random 385 tokens cost 165 as they do today. A random 400 costs 675, and a random 415 costs 1715. But if you think that's a lot, well, the specific 415s cost a grand total of 7,150 Titan Residuum. That might seem really alarming, but do note that Azerite gear drops significantly more Titan Residuum when DE'd or scrapped, with 400 Azerite gear yielding 115 and 415s yielding 365. Then the weekly cash has also been updated. A Mythic plus 10 in Season 2 will give you 625 TR, up from 60 in Season 1. So overall, the acquisition rates relative to the cost have actually not changed that much. But that brings me on to the topic of Season 2 Azerite, which of course has been updated in such a way that Season 1 Azerite is essentially useless. Throw it in the bin. I mean, don't really, but first, it has like 20% more stamina, it seems. Second, it's got the 5th outer ring, and that contains a choice of 2 traits per spec. Now, it flat out just has an extra trait over the Season 1 Azerite gear that does make it more powerful, even at the same item level. So that new ring unlocks at Heart of Azeroth level 15, meaning that this change really does bring no additional Azerite farming burden. So all Azerite gear that is item level 370 plus from dazar'alor, world quests, Season 2 dungeons, Season 2 PvP, and Darkshore are going to be Season 2 Azerite gear with the outer ring. And this does mean that the Uldir gear still drops Season 1 Azerite, which is mostly useless. Then Artifact Knowledge does kick off on Season 2 launch day, with the effectiveness of your AP increasing by 30% per week. That will continue for 10 weeks, meaning that after 10 weeks, Artifact Knowledge will stop. But do note that Season 3 and Rise of Ashara will pretty much overhaul the entire system. Next, let's talk about crafted gear. This patch does bring in a new set of crafted gear. It is crafted with the new Breath of Bomsamdi reagent, and yeah, the base crafted gear is 385 and it costs Explosum and Title Cores, but the 400 and 415 variants do of course cost Breaths of Bomsamdi, which do come from the raid. And then past that, of course, we still do have the array of 340 PvP themed crafted gear from patch 8.1. So with all that covered, let's talk about your mains and what to do. On reset day, go grab your Mythic Plus chest. It'll still have Season 1 rewards, I believe, so there really is no massive getting ahead of the game here. Now, once that is done, you want to check your Emissary quests and your active assaults. They will drop gear that is item level 385, assuming, of course, that your character is already geared. Now, taking Titan Forging into account, even a modest 15 item level Titan Forge could have that gear being instantly on par with heroic Battle for dazar'alor, and it could also get you some Season 2 Azerite. Now, once all that's done, then crafters will want to get ready for the raid by selecting their and leveling their profession. Of course, 8.1 changes so that you do need to be whatever profession crafts the gear in order to wear the gear. Now, the initial 385 stuff is quite cheap to craft, but you know, the 400 stuff and the 415 does cost quite a bit more, especially if Breaths of Bomsamdi, so you'll just want to start saving that stuff up. Next, we need to think about the Season 2 Azerite. Of course, Season 2 Azerite gear is so much better than Season 1 Azerite gear because of that extra trait, so whether you are using some stockpiled TR to replace your current 385s with Season 2 versions, or maybe you're grabbing a 400 if you've been really going hard in stockpiling, you want to think about Azerite. Now, if you're lucky, you might have already got some 385 Azerite gear from the Emissaries and the Assaults. Past that though, you just want to really complete the usual stuff. You want to do the hardest Mythic Plus that you can, up to a plus 10. That'll give you a 410 piece of gear and a bunch of TR. Then you'll want to smash out the highest difficulty of the raid that you can do. So normal mode drops 385, heroic drops 400, and mythic drops 415. LFR mode drops 370, with Wing 1 coming out 1 week after the release of Season 2 on the 23rd of July, with the other 2 raids coming out throughout February. And then PvP still is another important consideration. While Blizzard have sadly not added a proper vendor to PvP gearing, they have of course updated the gear by 30 item levels, including that from the end of week chest, which is unlocked by filling up your conquest bar. So if you can PvP, you probably should. It'll get you some great gear. And then of course we have the Warfront. Darkshore is a source of item level 400 gear through the world boss and the per cycle quest, but only once the new cycle begins. And I mean, yeah, that's kind of crazy. Now, of course, the base gear from Darkshore has increased by 15 item levels up to 355, but that probably won't be useful to mains. And of course, that could get you some heroic level Azerite, which is just super powerful. So that's the gear situation. You want to do your high impact weekly content, you want to pray for Titan Forges, while also saving up Titan Residuum to spend on the best Azerite gear for your class. And to find that out, you can run your own sims, or you can just hit up Blood Mallet's site and follow Blood Mallet's recommendations. So yeah, you'll just need to choose between, do you want to save for a specific bit of Azerite gear at 415, or just go from for the random tokens. That's probably a decision that will depend on your spec balancing of Azerite gear and also the goals of your team. Finally, they have updated Azerite to only be scrappable if it is meant for your class, and that does mean that the Titan Residuum funneling that has been done by many Mythic guilds, well, that's going to be far less of a thing. So that's what's up there. Then finally we have AP. It's just the usual. Stack your emissaries until after the weekly reset, because then of course they'll fall after Artifact Knowledge kicks in. The same goes for things like your treasure missions from the islands. You'll want to hand in your island weekly towards the end of the week so that you can complete your war table island mission, which can be up to 3,500 AP, and you just want to complete that after Artifact Knowledge kicks in, because that increases the impact by 30%. Basically, if you play Artifact Knowledge smart, you'll have a lot less farming to do, and the farming that you actually do will be a lot more impactful. And then there's also the 395 Service Medal Ring. That does exist, but it's just below dazar'alor Heroic, so to be honest, I wouldn't really bother farming up for it. Next, let's talk about alts. So alts really will rocket up the gear levels, but they will actually end a little bit weaker compared to raiders than they do today, as the new 385 item level cap of the world content is on par with dazar'alor Normal, whereas the 370s of Season 1 were actually on par with Aldir Heroic. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, of course, because the Emissary and Assault quest rewards do scale scale with your current item level, so they're hardly going to be 385 off the bat. Now, if you want to gear quickly, then there's a number of things that you can do, and there's a number of milestones that you want to hit, such as eligibility for dazar'alor LFR and eligibility for the Darkshore Warfront. As always though, you just want to increase your item level as fast as you possibly can so that the World Quest rewards scale up. Now, the fastest way to do that is to go to the auction house and to purchase the 8.1 crafted gear. You can fill a fair few slots with that, and that does make it quite effective. Then if time walking is available, you want to do that. The first time walking dungeon and boss will give you the 500 time warped token quest that can be turned in for a few bits of gear that will be really good starter gear for your new character at the time walking vendor, and then additionally doing 4 time walking dungeons will just get you a bit of dazar'alor normal gear, which is 385, so that's a hell of a start for your character. Now, Darkshore does require an average item level of 335 before you can go in, and that probably is your main way to boost up your gear, though it still is worth killing Doomhowl and doing the Arithai stuff for the 340s, and then the 355 world bosses from Kulturas and Zandalar. So basically, if you want to hit that 335 quickly, do the Stromgarde Warfront a few times if it's up. That'll of course get you the 370, some 340s, maybe also do some heroic dungeons, which have also of course had their item level increased by 30 in this patch. Once you can get into Darkshore though, you really are on the road forward, because that's just giving you a string of 355s for finishing the Warfront. They can all Titanforge, of course. Then you're also getting the item level 400 from your cycle quest, 400 from the world boss. Be sure to, of course, bonus roll the Darkshore world boss, because that really can just boost up your gear level. And really by this stage, your average item level will have increased to the point where, doing your world quest rewards, just that'll be greatly improved. So you want to clear them out, clear out your emissaries, do your assaults. You ideally do want to do the gear rewarding emissaries as late as you possibly can, but obviously don't let them expire. That would be a pretty weak idea. So yeah, just, keep on doing all that stuff and you'll find that your item level just creeps up, well, really quite quickly indeed, for not that much work at all. Personally, I just focus on playing the content that you enjoy the most, doing PvP, Mythic Plus, those things with your friends. They're big, solid recommendations. I mean, certainly, going through Mythic Plus is a great way to get an initial set of gear, especially if your friends can carry you a bit, and maybe get that new character's Raider IO up somewhat. So yeah, there's that. I mean, eventually the World Quest emissaries and the Assault Rapper quests will be giving you 385s. Some of those will even Titanforge to be higher. And really at that point, it's just a case of doing those things as they spawn, doing assaults, doing the Darkshore, stuff, and then just doing the regular content that you want, like Mythic Plus and the new raid. Finally, let's hit an AP. So my advice is the exact same as it was for mains, just that I also think it's a good idea to stockpile war resources on alts if you're playing multiple of them for the purpose of doing war table missions down the line, because you can farm those resources now and then slowly convert them into artifact power through the war table. But the thing is, if you stockpile those resources and then wait for AK to kick in for a few weeks, well, you can farm the resources now, you can wait a few weeks, and then spend them once they will be multiple times more effective. You get so much more bang for your buck. So if you're willing to be a little bit behind the curve, but spend drastically less time farming, just to keep your bunch of alts in a decent state, that is something that you can do. So there you go. That is the state of gearing for Season 2 of Battle for Azeroth. This likely is not the last gearing video that's going to be like this, but we do know that the new patch is going to be overhauling Azerite. We know that, you're not going to have to unlock traits on Azerite gear for, the new set of Azerite gear once 8.2 comes out. So I imagine that, I think we'll be in a far better state in the future. But hey, if you're doing dazar'alor, then you need gear now, and this is how you get it. So I hope you found this video useful, and thank you for watching. Be sure to check out Skillshare, and a massive thank you to them for supporting the content on this channel. They really do make a hell of a lot possible, especially in a rough month, like January, and also a time where WoW is a little bit on the downturn. But hopefully with 8.2, being good. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, cheers. I'll see you next time.